January this year for World Conquest wasn't exactly the best in terms of what it inspired inside of the community, but it does bring itself in a positive light with the 20th century update that brought 1911 and 1980 into the game, alongside some minor updates on the side, which aren't exactly important to mention, but they're there. Right, so the beginning of the month, besides what we just mentioned, it also saw a mini adept purge carried out by yours truly, of course. You know how it is. A mini adept purge based on inactivity. For example, if someone's inactive for 4 or 5 months or more. Basically, light work for what came in September and October. That's about it. Likewise though, smacked up at the beginning of the month, we saw the banning of prominent member Executive Hating and sacking of Fire Ice Lord, pertaining to both being in a group chat with raiders, which pertained targeting of a staff member, that staff member being Fire Ice Lord's peer, and Hayden generally just being involved there for the sake of it. There was a third person involved with them, but I have no idea who he is. He appears in my comment section every now and then. He's kind of weird, but yeah, these two unfortunately got banned, but they came back later, and likewise, he was never unbanned. Now finally, this is where it gets interesting after those two boring bombshells of history. The vote rigging incident was the result of GoTurk utilizing the ZS server, which Foxy's owned, to rig votes in stupid screenshot Saturday and achievements of the week. He would be banned as a result of this, never to be seen again in the community due to his myriad of Discord alt accounts found after his ban. Now, February was the month to see plenty of controversial demotions, which saw prominent members Matthias Corvinus, Arvik, the Only Advisor, Pro Bulgar, Dave the Villain, Executive Hayden, A. Mikey, all get demoted to the rank of Adept Conqueror, be it for lack of achievements or a whole different reason in regard to standards. This obviously saw a lot of controversy, accountabilities, right? And comes to be a gruesome month for the elites. Now, besides the truth and a whole lot of demotions, We also bear witness to the sacking of LT user pertaining to his inactivity and stuff. This coming pretty surprisingly to most in the broad of day, obviously, depending where you live, having not been hinted prior but kind of expected. Likewise, we saw the leaving and stepping down of controversial former staff member Yarek this same month at the bare beginning of it. March saw the release of Galactic Conquest, a game which was developed and led by Better Not Die alongside the development team. The aim was to revive the idea of Solar Conquest, which was the previous denomination limited to the solar system back from 2019, which saw about equal success as this idea. It saw an unfortunate drop in players after release with a heavily inconsistent player base and little interest for the game. This month also saw the sacking of many, including Melvison, for the neglect of help requests, which, if you ask me, was a very stupid way to go out. Could have just listened. Michael Flame for refusing to attend a disciplinary training for admin abuse, which also incredibly stupid way to go out. Could have just gone there. You just summoned the gear. Also, that whole admin abuse thing for summoning a sword in his inventory was pretty goofy, but okay. Bureaucracy of 2023. Gotta love it. And finally, Busker 1 through 3, otherwise the confessed alt for rather obvious reasons. Now, other less title-deserving events, Nuber and Lily started dating, but it was thought to be a joke at this time. More on that next month. Community polls were reformed. Basically, Phoenix decided the channel should be a question of the day channel. It became a question of the day channel. I got hired, along with a couple of other people. Besides the community polls reform, Abigail hosted a very successful mini build event in March, which had a lot of custom biomes and shit like that. Just love it. Leading into April, we opened a myriad of staff sacks and banishments. First starting with Manu Pro, was found to be allegedly requesting illicit photos over Snapchat. This is a Lego group, remember? Fucking Snapchat, dude. Following Manu Pro, Poke YouTube was sacked next over, for some reason, threatening to dox Green Fox in some sort of sick joke, later becoming a raider as a result of his sack. Talk about not being able to take responsibility for your actions. Last following Poke and that weird sack was Maria Bea, who was banned for online dating somebody on Discord and breaking QS as a result. That is sack and banishment for all of them. It was a month of sack and banishment, all except for one, which will be covered in a separate section. The Lily situation was a complex situation which saw a relationship between members Will Lily and Nuber McNuberton Jr. A relationship which was thought to be a joke, as said before, but turned out to be something more serious, with Nuber being groomed by Lily. Will Lily confessed this to Marquette in the end and got banned alongside Nuber, with the exception that Nuber was allowed back into the group and then banned later and is now elite. There was also a couple of people who were banned for being pedo apologists. They basically said Lily wasn't in the wrong and Nuber should take all the blame. And that, yeah, just basically very weirdos that got banned. Harristan was a very controversial staff member. Having gotten 4 accepted accountabilities in their tenure as staff, many people came to complain that at the time they were very emotional in their decision making, and following that same point corroborated their incompetency. Now, it's a very debatable and touchy subject to say if administration handled this on time, but it's such a say they did, I guess. Now, it's safe to say April was a pretty boring month when it comes to anything eventful happening. But some other things did happen in development, as in the first prototype of the server hub was developed in Galactic Conquest. It basically united all Galactic Conquest servers under one game, and you could just use that lobby game to join any server you wanted to logically. The server hub is now in World Conquest, and it's been revamped a few times, and now the current version is much better. Just the On May 6th, user Foxy submits a report on an alternative account within the ranks of the staff team. Following this, word had gone around and gotten to myself, prompting me to do my own research as well. Little did I know though, this would spiral into the biggest domino effect of alt investigation and controversy. After the first alt sack on May the 6th, as stated prior, following Random Guy, later in the month came the discovery of Casserant as an alt, who was found out to be priestess. The choosing of this investigation was random. At this point, I was basically going from profile to profile, checking every essential detail, When investigating Casserant, I initially went into his Roblox and found his old alias, Azitrexis, which he told me about prior as well. Now, when you search this into Discord and sort by old, you will find a kicked account from 2020. Following this, we can copy the user ID, paste it in the search, and before us is priestess names. Right after priestess though, Alexian was first discovered to have been linked to an account called Dreams Faded, where it was evident that he had been banned for a reason alt, which is very vague, but it was a start to an investigation. Besides being banned years ago for being a suspected alt, his profile was also questionable, having barely any badges and not being involved in any groups besides World Conquest. On top of that, he was linked to another account called the Conquest Lord, which was dodgy, so administration advanced of it. After all this had been discovered, it was brought to question with Alexian, and he answered very vaguely, which finally led to his ban. The final decision was made, though, after a raider had leaked some images of the staff chat, but foolishly left hints of a time zone inside of it, which was deduced to be Alexian's. Besides that, another linking factor was the fact that both Alexian and our leaked screenshots had the same OS. Now, if you thought this would end with just staff members being banned, you'd be dead wrong, because this would bleed into the community right next month. But to avoid covering this across multiple months, I will name some of the prominent members who were banned as a result of these community bans. So SuperPro Hang9992, Fistman CDD, Honorary, iBlock Sergeant Dornan F2, Asach 2002 Ear, Manu Golden L, Just Historic, just to name a few, along a myriad of other community members who were banned. It is safe to say that June did not hold back on false staff sacks. First come with Fistman CDD, being accused of alting on my behalf because of a badly cut screenshot. Just for it to be disproven, in a few hours after Fistman was able to uncover the screenshot, and to his fortune restored the original to prove his innocence. Though he was unbanned, he was not reinstated into staff due to administration having found tens of other accounts, which had no history in VC, but were suspicious nonetheless. Second to Fistman followed Phoenix, who was sacked on a hunch that he was for whatever reason managing multiple personalities, one allegedly being Menor and the other being his girlfriend. This is proved to be completely false only months later, when clear-cut evidence of both Menor and Phoenix's girlfriend existence was shown. All of this could have been resolved when it happened, but in Phoenix's own paraphrased words, he refused to let either get bullied into doing what they were asked for. He was later unbanned, but did not return to the community, understandably so. As if this month wasn't bad already, it was started to the slow and painful death of World Conquest Group, a game dedicated to only group players. Testament to the last month, where there was still somewhat of a player base, this time it was completely inactive, unless staff hosted events or did group startups which were introduced into the server as a reaction role to be pinged. The events weren't bad, the problem was inherently people just left directly after the events and had no interest in the game mode of group at all. July, yeah, this is kinda awkward because July was a very eventful month. There was a server hub was added, I guess. The server hub was brought to the main World Conquest game. It was the first iteration of it. It's kinda meh. Now it's updated though. Kijak was sacked, I guess, for saying some weird shit on a server I can't even show in the video. Jacob was sacked for leaking the reward system to Phoenix a month after his ban. And we got a 4th of July announcement, yeah!
Make my blood pound faster. It make the rain fall harder. It make the room spin round as I stand real still. We built a house on sand. You feed your baby water, and now my heart beats fast. So much for peacefulness.
Besides Travel's abrupt leaving of VC as shown in the last section, it would be stupid to leave out Dissolve and Multi controversies which took place this month, both taking their place in their community at this time as heavily controversial figures, for one for their inherent friendship which was being called a relationship by online weirdos, and for two, Multi's moderation capabilities. Many accountabilities would be filed on both, punishment cited for Multi, and an unfortunate sack for Zoe, after which Multi would come to resign and leave staff temporarily. This month will also see the introduction of two new ACs, Xulito and yours truly, and Green Fox promotion to administrator, allowing me to rain terror on this group.
言って給油よ。最終的にそれだけの価値があったと本当に思いますか？
私は正しいことをしただけですよね。
はい。でもどのくらいの費用がかかりますか？
確かにあなたは正当な指摘をしていると思います。私たちはかつて友人だと思っていた多くの人々を失いました。
私たち全員がお互いに嘘をついたり秘密を抱えたりせずに調和して生きていれば。
ああ、そうですね。
Right near the start of the month, we saw the resignation of longtime developer B&D from his position of game developer after years of holding it due to his own reason listed in his document. His last update being Nurula getting admin in the group. That same day though, Nurula and AHF are rewarded for their efforts in development and promoted to developer to make amends for the resignation of the B&D. The false bans were an event where Norwa and I falsely banned a handful of members in VC due to certain data gathered to discern suspected odds. Not guaranteed ones, which is an important detail. On a hunch, multiple members were banned. Flavian and Olex were even sacked temporarily. It did not take long before all were unbanned, and the two apologies were extended. As October struck, Halloween came early for all adepts who were promoted with standards which did not completely match those which an adept should usually have, because an adept purge was being carried out. This was carried out on all adepts regardless if they got better from the time of their promotion or not, and it was met with large controversy with multiple accountability submitted on various people as a result of this. Special scrutiny was likely sent towards administration as well, but it was a change necessary to persevere the quality of the rank, which was gradually degrading. Besides the adept purge, there was 2 staff members sacked this month. First come Nicholas for leaking a silly one-liner from staff chat from Fabian, which was met with heavy scrutiny from administration due to him being sacked for leaking before. The sack had a lot of people disagreeing with it due to the circumstances behind it. Right after Nicholas though came Mario H, who was sacked for an inability to moderate properly, coupled with immaturity after much controversy backing that same sack coming from the community.
My time has come. You must continue your journey without me.
What are you? What? Master! You can't leave me!
You must believe.
Master!
November was the witness to the first legitimate back-to-back triple elite promotion following today's standard of roleplay in World Conquest, at least for getting promoted to elite. This was an impressive feat accomplished by the players Nuber, I Wanna Stand and Shady. Huge props to them for this. Though this one manages to be shy of controversies with staff members, it is not shy of them for community members. For community member, Comerbia got herself banned for operating a femboy server, where administration of VC had determined rules were not being properly enforced. Hence, they decided they did not want to associate with Koma. Koma later fixed his issues and was unbanned from VC next year.
This is good. Isn't it?
December this year was a month to remember, possibly one of the most important ones, you know. Starting off with a bang though, the sacking of Botkivsky. You have one chance to guess how he was sacked. Here's your count. Did you guess? Well, who saw that one coming? On to the next sack though. Diablo was sacked due to a string of weird humor he continuously participated in, inside of public chats and staff chats. This would stem from saying suggestive things in voice chats and voice messages to just straight up being completely unrepresentative in messages. He was warned a couple of times about this, then unfortunately sacked because he didn't listen. Like I said, December was a time of big changes for World Conquest, so with the end of the Conquest coronations, my promotion to administrator was announced, and so was Green Fox to head administrator, a role which his other race saw as long gone from the group's history after what Asian Noah Saint did. Besides the introduction of head admins, the rank challenging system brought the rank of Legendary Conqueror, which was reserved for the best of the best, the sweatiest, most elite sought after keyboard warriors.